Love isn't supposed to hurt. But that night it did. I had spent hours preparing. Not for the food. Not for the wine. For the moment. The moment I'd tell Dylan he was going to be a father. His favorite dish was in the oven. Candles flickering. The playlist we made on our third date humming in the background. But before he walked in, so did she. Joanne. His mother. Uninvited. But never unexpected. Smells like someone's trying too hard, she said, walking in like she owned the air. I forced a smile. Just wanted a nice evening. Her eyes scanned the room. Judging. Sizing up the effort. That's sweet. But you know how Dylan hates surprises. He came in minutes later. Tired. Beautiful. Mine. But his shoulders tensed the moment he saw her. Mom, what are you doing here? Oh, just making sure you're not being overwhelmed. She glanced at me when she said it. Sharp. Deliberate. The words landed. Right between us. Dinner was a battlefield of small remarks. Every compliment I offered, she'd counter with a memory of someone better. Every smile, she'd lace with a subtle reminder of my place. And Dylan? He didn't defend. He didn't deflect. He just sat there. Eating quietly. Letting her rewrite the night. But it wasn't until dessert that she delivered the poison. You should know, Dylan, I ran into Marissa today. She mentioned something interesting. About Maya and her little friend. The tone. The implication. A knife, dull from overuse, but still sharp enough to draw blood. He looked at me. Is that true? I laughed. Nervously. Wrong move. Of course not. But he didn't believe me. Because Joanne never said things she couldn't sell. The silence was thick. His hands clenched. The air felt electric. And then, it happened. His hand. My face. Impact. Sudden. Violent. Unforgivable. The slap echoed louder than the music. Candles flickered. My heart stopped. So did his. The room went still. Joanne's smile was victorious. Like she'd been waiting for this moment. Dylan's face turned grey. Maya. But before he could finish, something fell. From my bag. Onto the floor. A small, plastic stick. 2 pink lines. Positive. The truth he hadn't been ready for. The truth she didn't want him to know. His breath caught. Maya, what is that? I didn't answer. Because some answers shouldn't have to be defended after a slap. Joanne's face changed. Shock. Then panic. Because her script didn't include this twist. Oh, I didn't know. But I wasn't looking at her. I was looking at him. At the man I loved. The man who had let someone else write his reactions. Before the tears came, before the apologies started, I picked up the test. Held it. Not for him. For me. As proof. As a line between what was, and what could no longer be. Then the doorbell rang. Tessa. My neighbor. My friend. Drawn by the noise. By the tension thick enough to choke. She saw my face. His handprint. No words were needed. Maya, come with me. She didn't ask. She told. And for the first time that night, someone chose me. I left with Tessa. No packed bags. No goodbye. Just my dignity. And a heartbeat still too small to be heard, but already louder than their lies. As the door closed behind me, I heard his voice. Small. Breaking. Maya, please wait. But I didn't. Because love isn't supposed to hurt. And if it does, it shouldn't be because you stood up to someone who never learned how to sit down. That night, in Tessa's guest room, I placed the pregnancy test on the nightstand. Looked at my reflection. My cheek was red. My eyes were swollen. But beneath that, I saw something new. Resolve. Not revenge. Just clarity. He slapped me because she told him to doubt me. But the truth was already here. Growing. Beating. Undeniable. And they couldn't erase it. no matter how hard they tried. They thought hurting me would silence the truth. But sometimes, the quietest moments are when you hear your own heartbeat the loudest. He hit me. But the heartbeat he heard next was louder than her voice. Tessa's guest room was small, quiet, safe. 3 things my home used to be. I didn't sleep that night. Not out of fear. Out of clarity. Because when someone you love raises their hand against you, there's a moment of distortion. A shattering. But after that, things become clearer than ever. The next morning, Tessa drove me to my first ultrasound. No fanfare. No waiting for Dylan. No expectations. Just me. And this life growing inside me. The room was cold. The paper crinkled beneath me. The technician was kind. Efficient. Normal. Which felt strange. Because nothing about me felt normal. But then, the sound. Soft at first. Then steady. A heartbeat. Mine was shaky. But hers. Hers was strong. Steady. Persistent. As I listened, tears blurred my vision. Because that sound was louder than the slap. Louder than Joanne's lies. Louder than the doubts he didn't even know weren't his. I recorded it. Not for keepsake. Not for nostalgia. For proof. Proof that something pure had come from a place they tried to poison. Afterward, sitting in Tessa's car, I sent it to him. No words. No explanation. Just the sound. The heartbeat. Hers. Ours. Minutes passed. Then my phone vibrated. Please. No, Mom. Just us. Can we talk? He didn't deserve a yes. But our daughter deserved clarity. So I said one word. Public. I wouldn't go back to that house. Not yet. Not unless this conversation happened in the open. No secrets. No shadows. Tessa insisted on coming. I'll stay in the background. But you're not doing this alone. And for the first time, I realized what it meant to be truly seen. We met at a small cafe. Neutral ground. No memories to cloud the air. He was already there when I arrived. Eyes red. Face hollow. Not performative. Real. He stood when he saw me. But didn't reach out. Good. He was learning. The silence was loud. Until he spoke. I'm sorry. Simple. Quiet. But not enough. Not yet. She told me you were cheating. His voice cracked. Said she had proof. I didn't even ask. I just believed her. He looked down. Because it was easier to believe her lies than admit she's always been this way. I didn't speak. Because sometimes you have to let them sit in the weight of their own realization. He continued. When you left, she laughed. That made me flinch. She said, finally, you see what she really is. He shook his head. But then I found the test. And it hit me. All she wanted was to make me small. And she used you to do it. The pain in his eyes was real. But pain doesn't undo damage. He reached into his bag. Pulled out papers. I know I have no right to ask. But I want to make this right. It was custody paperwork. Signed. Giving me full custody. No contest. No conditions. I want to be there. But I'll never trap you. Never hurt you again. This is my promise. In ink. My throat tightened. Not because I wanted to forgive. But because I saw something he'd never shown before. Accountability. She's not allowed near us again. He said it like a vow. I've already changed the locks. Her name's off everything. I sipped my tea. Calm. Measured. This isn't fixed, Dylan. This is just a start. He nodded. I know. Tessa watched from a distance. A quiet anchor. He noticed. Thank you for keeping her safe. Tessa simply nodded. Because real protectors don't need applause. Before I left, I told him the terms. Clear. Non-negotiable. A therapy. Individual and couples. A no contact with Joanne. A every boundary respected. A A trust rebuilt through actions, not words. He agreed. Not because he wanted me back, but because he wanted to be better. As I walked away, I felt no victory. Just space. Space to breathe. Space to heal. Space for our daughter to inherit something better than control and violence. Because that heartbeat was louder than their lies. And now, it would guide me forward. They thought betrayal would break me. But some truths are louder than pain. Like a heartbeat refusing to be silenced. He said he was sorry. But I brought a list. 4 days after the cafe, he kept his distance. No calls. No texts. Just quiet. But not the weaponized kind. This was different. A space he was giving me. And for once, it wasn't a punishment. It was respect. Tessa and I sat on her porch one afternoon. Sunlight spilling through the gaps in the wood. The world moving on while my life was still rearranging itself. You're allowed to want things in writing, she said. Want boundaries. Want safety. And I did. Because apologies are words. But conditions. Conditions are actions in advance. So I made a list. Not to control. To protect. Myself. My daughter. Even him, from himself. When Dylan reached out again, he didn't push. Just asked, "Can we meet?" You set the place. I chose the park. Neutral. Open air. No walls for lies to echo. Tessa came too. Not to hover. Just to remind me, I wasn't alone. He was already waiting. This time, no sad flowers. No grand gestures. Just him. Quiet. Present. Good. I Saturday pulled out my list. No theatrics. If there's going to be an us in any shape or form, these are the conditions. He listened. Really listened. No flinching. No defensiveness. First, Joanne is permanently out. No phone calls. No surprise visits. No excuses. He nodded. Already blocked her. Changed my number. Informed HR at work, she's not to be let near. That was new. Measured. Proactive. Second, therapy. Not a box to check. A commitment. Individual. And together, he took out his phone. Showed me the appointment confirmation. Next week. Already booked. Third, custody protection. This child's safety comes first. We put it in writing. He handed me more papers. Signed custody agreement. Giving me primary custody. Joint only upon mutual consent. No tricks. No conditions. I don't want control, Maya. I want to earn trust. For her. For us. The conversation was slow. Deliberate. Each word was a brick. Rebuilding a foundation he once cracked himself. But this time, I wasn't laying them alone. As we spoke, kids laughed in the distance. A reminder of what was at stake. This wasn't about romance. This was about legacy. What we'd pass down in behaviors. In reactions. In choices. By the end, I looked at him and said, "You don't get a clean slate. But you get a chance." His breath hitched. Because chances, real ones, are harder to come by than forgiveness. He didn't ask for more. Didn't beg. He just said, "Thank you." And that was enough. As we left, Tessa caught my eye. No words exchanged. But I knew what she was thinking. This wasn't a victory march. It was a ceasefire. A fragile one. But it was mine to negotiate. That night, Dylan sent a single message. "Thank you for the chance to try. I won't waste it." Simple. Clean. No guilt. No pressure. For once, it was just accountability. The next day, he met me at the clinic. Not as my husband. As my co-parent. He waited in the lobby. Let me lead. When the nurse called us in, he looked at me. Silent question. I nodded. Because trust, once broken, isn't given. It's rebuilt one silent question at a time. He listened to the heartbeat again, this time without speaking. His eyes glassed over. But he didn't make it about him. Progress. Afterward, we sat in the parking lot. No heavy conversations. Just air. Shared space without suffocating. This was new. And it was enough. For now. Because rebuilding isn't about grand apologies. It's about the quiet agreements that come after. They say forgiveness is given freely. But trust. Trust is built brick by brick. With hands that once tore it down, now learning how to build without breaking. She stalked me from her car. But this time, I wasn't alone. It started with the parked car. Same spot. Same time. Every evening. Joanne. Always just far enough to claim coincidence. But close enough to be seen. The neighbors noticed. Tessa noticed. So did Dylan. He confronted her. Not with anger. With exhaustion. "You're not welcome here, Mom," she smiled. "A cold, brittle thing. I have every right. She's carrying my grandchild." Her words clung like smoke. But biology isn't ownership. That night, Dylan called. "We're filing a restraining order. No more debates. No more, maybe she'll calm down." He booked the lawyer himself. Sent me the confirmation. This wasn't performative. This was action. In therapy, he unpacked it all. The guilt. The manipulation. The legacy of being a good son at the cost of being a good man. He cried. Not in shame. In release. And for the first time, I didn't feel sorry for him. I felt proud. Because seeing the problem is the first step to breaking it. At the next ultrasound, the technician smiled. "It's a girl." The room felt lighter. A daughter. The next generation. A chance to rewrite the story. To break the cycle. To raise her without the chains of guilt and control. Dylan held the sonogram photo like it was glass. "She'll never feel what we felt. I swear it." And for once I believed him. Because oaths made in therapy rooms hold more weight than promises whispered after fights. Joanne's final act came sooner than expected. A confrontation outside my work. Public. Embarrassing. Predictable. "This child is ours, Maya. Don't forget whose blood runs through her." I didn't raise my voice. I didn't flinch. I simply held up my phone. Recording. And said, "The court will be very interested in this." Dylan arrived minutes later. Not frantic. Calm. "Leave. Or the next time you see this baby will be in a courtroom photo." For once, she listened. Because control thrives in shadows. And we had dragged her into the light. The restraining order was granted. Served. Final. No contact. No loopholes. Dylan handed me the papers. "This doesn't erase what happened. But it protects what's next." That night, we sat in the nursery. Bare walls. Empty crib. But it already felt safer. Because boundaries are the first bricks of a home. Tessa stopped by. Brought over soft blankets. Books. No speeches. Just presence. Because real family doesn't need to announce itself. 4 months, Joanne stayed silent. Blocked. Distant. Powerless. The air felt lighter. Not because she changed. But because we stopped giving her space to breathe in our lives. As my belly grew, so did our peace. Not perfect. Not fairy tale. But real. Because safety isn't loud. It's the absence of dread when you wake up in your own home. They said blood is thicker than water. But I learned boundaries are thicker than both. Because family isn't who shares your blood. It's who respects your breath. The house used to feel like hers. Even when she wasn't there. Especially when she wasn't there. But today that changed. It started with the dining table. Dark oak. Heavy. Imposing. The same table where she'd sit, glass of wine in hand, offering compliments that cut. "What a lovely dress, Maya. Hides the weight well." Every meal was a performance. Her stage. My restraint. One afternoon, I came home to find the table gone. In its place, an open space. Sunlight spilling through bare floors. Dylan stood there. Nervous. Hopeful. I thought it was time. He didn't need to explain. That table wasn't furniture. It was history. And sometimes, to build new stories, you have to remove the old altars. The transformation wasn't sudden. Not loud. One room at a time. Her photos. Boxed. Her curtains. Replaced. The mirror she insisted was too high for someone of my stature. Taken down. Not out of spite. Out of reclamation. Together, we painted the walls. Soft greens. Warm creams. Colors that didn't apologize for their softness. Colors that felt like breath. In therapy, Dylan spoke about control. About how subtle it can be. How it doesn't always shout. Sometimes, it whispers. Until you mistake it for your own thoughts. He cried less now. But when he did, it wasn't from guilt. It was from release. I want this home to feel like us. Not like a shadow. And with every brushstroke, every empty shelf, we carved out space for something new. Then came the nursery. The room she once dismissed as a junk room. Now it held hope. Soft blankets. Handmade mobiles. Shelves of children's books. Not curated for show. Chosen for comfort. For joy. One afternoon, a package arrived. No return label. Inside, a silver baby rattle. Engraved. From Grandma. No name. But we knew. Dylan's hands trembled as he held it. This ends here. He photographed the item. Sent it to our lawyer. No drama. No outburst. Just documentation. Because peace is sometimes defended with paperwork. The rattle was never opened again. Sealed. Stored. Irrelevant. Because presence is louder than provocation. And we were present now. As the due date approached, the house felt lighter. Not because threats stopped, but because we stopped shrinking. One evening, we sat in the nursery. The crib still empty. Yet somehow, it already felt full. Of potential. Of safety. Of choices made intentionally. Tessa visited. Held up a small onesie. This feels right. And it did. Because this wasn't about erasing the past. It was about refusing to give it the final word. Dylan reached for my hand. No grand speeches. Just this. Thank you for staying. For letting me rebuild. Brick by brick. I smiled. We're not rebuilding her house. We're building ours. And with that, the air shifted. Because reclaiming isn't a war cry. Sometimes, it's a whisper of paint drying on walls that finally feel like home. She tried to build monuments of control in this house. But one room at a time, we dismantled them. And in their place, we built something quieter, but infinitely stronger. She wanted control. But we gave our daughter freedom instead. The hospital felt different this time. New place. New protocols. New rules we set. No unexpected visitors. No unapproved names. No cracks for old ghosts to slip through. When labor started, Dylan was ready. Not in the overbearing way. Not performative. Just steady. He held my hand when I wanted. Stepped back when I needed space. He wasn't trying to fix me. He was standing beside me. And that was enough. Hours blurred. Pain came and went. So did fear. But it never settled. Because this wasn't her story. This was ours. And we were writing a new chapter. When she arrived, the world stilled. Tiny. Perfect. Loud. Her first cry felt like a reclamation. A sound louder than every insult. Every dismissal. Every slap. We named her Elena. Not after anyone. Just because it felt right. A name not weighed down by expectations. Not inherited from guilt. Hers. Only hers. As I held her, I felt it. The breaking of a cycle. Because this child would never wonder if love was conditional, would never flinch at silence, would never confuse control with care. The nurse handed Dylan a bracelet. Dad. Simple. Profound. He looked at it for a long time. Then at me. I won't be him. Or her. I promise. I believed him. Because promises made in fear are fragile. But promises made in reflection? They're the ones that last. The next day, flowers arrived. No card. Just a small note. Congratulations. May she be strong. From a grandmother. No signature. But we knew. Dylan didn't rage. Didn't spiral. He simply folded the note. Handed it to the nurse. Please dispose of this. We're keeping this room free of that energy. Small actions. Big shifts. The hospital stay was quiet. Peaceful. Visits from friends. Not obligations. Calls from people who asked, "How are you feeling?" Instead of, "When are you coming home to perform for us?" Tessa came by. Held Elena with practiced ease. "You did it. You broke it." I smiled. Not triumphant. Just content. Because survival is loud. But healing is often a quiet, persistent thing. Days later, we brought her home. To walls we painted. To furniture we chose. To a house that no longer echoed with someone else's approval. Her nursery was warm. Soft light. No shadows of the past. Just space. For her. For us. One evening, as she slept, Dylan sat beside me. He looked tired. But there was peace behind it. I used to think family meant blood. Obligation. Control. He shook his head. But watching you, watching us, I get it now. Family is who you protect, not who you fear. We didn't toast. We didn't make grand speeches. We just Saturday breathing. Existing. And for once, that was more than enough. Joanne's absence wasn't a void. It was space we could finally fill with things that mattered. Laughter. Quiet dinners. First steps. New memories. As Elena grew, so did we. Slowly. Intentionally. And every time fear tried to creep back, we reminded ourselves, this is not her inheritance. Not control. Not silence. Not shame. She'd inherit boundaries. Voice. Freedom. Because we fought for it. And now, we'd teach her to never need to. Chapter end narration, for video, optional. They wanted to pass down fear. But we chose something else. Because cycles don't break themselves. Someone has to stand up. Say no. And build differently. They tried to control us. But our daughter's first breath was the moment we finally exhaled.